All right, guys, thanks for showing up again. And tonight I got a video. I broke out the 10 watt XTool and I got me a new rotary. I had a problem with my other rotaries not wanting to do longer objects such as rolling pins, for example. Anything over the length of the rollers, I was having an issue with them hitting. So I went on a hunt and tried to find me a bargain roller that was effective, that would work, that didn't suffer from the same limitations as some of the other ones that I have, because currently I only have a couple of things that I'm going to be doing with it, but I wanted it as robust, as big, as wide, and as capable of doing bigger things as I could find. And so I found it, I got it ordered, it arrived, I've got it set up, working, and I'm fixing to show you what this thing can do. And I'm also going to introduce you guys to a new market that I didn't even know exists. But thanks to a friend of mine, she's kind of let me know about this market, and I'm fixing to start hitting it up, and I'm going to share it with you guys, and maybe some of y'all may be able to help some of the other fellow crafters in your communities and make a little money in the process. So stick around. All right, guys, so here's my setup. Before I go over this, I want to kind of give you the backstory to this thing. We were at a couple of events a while back, and I ran into a lady. Her name is Sheena. She has a Facebook page, and it's called Grit and Grace. And I'll drop a link to her her Facebook page below. What Sheena does is Sheena uses a clay. She molds the clay and then bakes it and makes earrings out of it. She paints them, coats them, and it's some really cool stuff, but it's made from like baked clay. And we were talking, and she came over to the booth and asked me about rollers to use to roll the clay out to make the designs that she uses for her earrings and such. And I'd never heard about that. But she asked me if that's something that I felt like I'd be able to do. And so tonight, guys, we're going to answer that question and see if it is something that I'd be able to do. I had to go out and do a little shopping and find me a rotary that was a little more suited for the rolling pins, that I felt a little more comfortable with, to make sure I don't burn up a bunch of rolling pins for no reason. I have found it, and this is what I wound up going with. And I'd really, to be honest with you guys, until I got to looking for this thing, I didn't realize how many different rotaries there were on the market. But this is the one I ended up going with. Two reasons. This thing, it was cheap, okay? It was 99 bucks. I think it's actually 79 currently because of some of the holiday sales and stuff. It came with several different cables, and it's a rotary. Now, I will say this. I had to improvise. Luckily, I had the appropriate cable. Instead of using the stepper on this machine to connect the rotary, which is the way this rotary is designed, it's designed to plug right into the steppers. Well, I didn't really want to do that, because this machine, as you all know, has a secondary plug for the rotary, so that you can just use a switch to flip rotary on and off without having to go into the machine settings and change the steps on the motherboard. So I decided to dig through my box of cables, and I found a cable that came with my ComGrow rotary, and it was the right cable to make this work. And so I've got it set up, I've got it working. I went ahead and made myself a jig for it. The only thing that I haven't done is used it to do a burn yet. Well, hello, Fluffy. And Fluffy says, hey guys, it's getting cold outside. I've got the heat on in here, and so she decided to come visit. But that's what we're going to be doing tonight, guys. I talked to Sheena, and she wants me to do one that has stars on it. And so I'm building a file right now. I'm fixing to put the finishing touches on that. And as soon as I get the file built, I'm going to burn this thing out, test out this Diwali rotary, see how well it does with the XTool. I did have to play with the settings a little bit. The settings I found in the software, because I wasn't using it with the steppers, I'm assuming that was the problem. The settings that were included didn't work, so I basically had to use some, my spray paint cans now have circles cut into the labeling, because I had to put them on there and basically just tweak that setting until I found the sweet spot to get a circle, and I've got it set up, and so we should be good. I can now make absolute circles that, you know, measure 20 by 20 instead of 20 by 25 or 20 by 15. So I've got that worked out. And we're gonna see about making one of these things, and apparently we're gonna lock Fluffy out of the shop so that she doesn't get up here and hurt her eyes or get caught in the laser. As much as I hate to put them out in the cold, she is known for jumping up on tables. But give me a second to finish this burn, and I'll be back in a second, and we're gonna make some smoke. And you gotta go outside there, girl. All right, guys, for her own safety, I have locked Fluffy out of the shop for the moment because I don't have this in an enclosure. One, because it is my 10 watt, and currently both my other enclosures are taken. And I want you guys to be able to see this and see how the burn goes. The first step, I'm gonna pull you over and kind of show you what the setup looks like, let you get a look at the jig, let you get a look at the rotary, and see what kind of tools we got here. All right, so there's the setup, and this is the Diwali rotary. Like I said, guys, this thing is a pretty good sized machine. You're looking at almost 8 3/4 inches across here. The rollers are 6.5, a little over 6.5, like 6 5/8. And the rollers will also open up. The range of adjustment starts and goes out 2.5 inches. And right now it's only in the 3rd slot, and this thing actually has 7 different slots that you can set the wheels in. It's pretty simple. You loosen these 2 thumb screws here, take those out, move the roller to where you want it, but you got to loosen up on the belt, and you just tension that belt up until you get it nice and snug, and it's good to go. The only thing that I'm not crazy about there is a lot of plastic on the outer side of the thing, but the rotary itself is aluminum, and it's very tough. So, and it seems to function okay. So I haven't had any problems out of it so far. Like I said, the setup process was a little tricky, but it seems to be working now. So what I'm gonna do, guys, I've got this burn set up, and I went ahead and I used my little mechanical pencil so I can make a faint line to center it with. I measured my roller, marked my center, got my graphic built. The way that you're going to want to go about this is to build your graphic. If you're trying to do it all the way around something, you're going to want to measure the length of your piece and what your work area is, and stay just below the width of your work area for your frame around the image or whatever it is you're burning. The second thing you're going to want to do is take and figure out what your diameter of your workpiece is. These guys right here are cheap and they work really well. I went with 50 millimeters for the diameter of my workpiece. In light burn, under rotary tools, right at the very bottom, you will see this little calculator where you can put the diameter of the object in, and it will give you the circumference around it. That really has no bearing on the operation of the rotary. What that's used for is I put in the 50, which is my diameter of my rolling pin, and on the bottom it will actually tell me what the circumference of that object is. So you take the circumference of that object, that is how big of a canvas you have to write on to be able to do the burn. So that's going to be the height of my image. So I took those 2 measurements and I built out my star design that she wants, and made it to where it would almost touch itself on the back to try to get as close to a continual pattern all the way around the rolling pin as I could. So that's what we're fixing to do. For this burn, this wood appears to be some kind of oak, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be kind of a hard burn, because I want these to be really deep, because these are going to be used to take and roll out the clay that she uses. And so I'm going to try to dig these guys in as deep as I can. If it turns out that it's too deep, I can always sand the outside of it down, make them not quite as deep. But I'm going to go ahead and run it multiple passes in the beginning. If I see that this wood responds well and I get a really deep dig on the first pass, then I may can just stop it and not run the rest of the passes. But I'm going to go ahead and set this thing up first for 3 passes and see how that does, to hopefully avoid having to restart it after it completes. But the speed I'm going to be running is going to be 50 millimeters a second at 100% output. And it's probably going to get really smoky in here, but we'll have to deal with that. So here we go, guys. I'm going to frame it first just to show you the frame. It's going to frame all the way to the edge here, and then it's going to go on this side. it should spin. It should come almost all the way around. There's my mark. So that's on the other side of where I had it placed, if you'll watch. There's my mark. So basically this engrave should touch itself when it's completed. So here we go. I put the Comgrow air assist pump on there and got that guy fired up. I'm running it at full power because I do want this to be a deep burn, because if you don't run an air assist trying to do these deep burns, from my experience, that ash from the first pass that stays in that hole is gonna kind of take a little power away from the laser as it comes back trying to make that second and third pass, and you're not gonna get as deep of an engrave. So the air assist just kind of helps blow that material out of the way so that it doesn't kind of block the laser from affecting the wood beneath it. All right, guys, other than a little smoke in the shop, everything is going well. I do have my vacuum table running just to kind of pull some of it out here because I got the doors shut. Cats kept trying to run in, so I had to shut the doors for cat safety. And but it is definitely having the desired effect. The rotary seems to be working well, and it looks pretty good. So what I've did here is basically I have the large stars and the small stars all on the same roller, and when they're rolling the clay out, this will imprint, because I'm digging this out pretty deep. This is it's probably 1 millimeter or 2 deep on these burns, and that's before I hit it with the air or anything like that. And so basically when they have this clay rolled out and they roll it with this is going to cause an impression in the clay that can be used to cut it out with a X-Acto knife or scissors or whatever you cut clay with, and then they can have their pieces of clay ready to go into the oven to dry, is my understanding of how this works. So I'm gonna let this one run, and from the images that I was shown, that Sheena showed me, I'm guessing that this is gonna be adequate for what she's wanting, but if she doesn't, this is a $6 rolling pin from Dollar General, so it's not going to be a major loss, and it would actually make some pretty cool chicken and dumplings or pie crusts. All right, guys, that concludes the burn. Not sure if it's going to be as deep as I wanted it, but we're going to get it off, get it cleaned up, and see. All right, guys, the engrave turned out fairly well. Not sure what kind of wood this is, but I will tell you that it is very solid. It's very sturdy. It burns, the edges burn really clean. The 10 watt did a really good job as far as the detail and everything. 2 lessons I learned in this burn is next time I do one of these things, I will do crosshatch. I forgot to set the burn on crosshatch, and trying to go as deep as I did, it did leave some fibers in there where it has that continual path. Basically, it created what looks like little strings in there in the material that are a little irritating to try to get out. And if you put it on crosshatch, what it'll do is it'll actually cut those guys out and turn it into more of a dust. So it makes it a little easier on the back end. But what I did do, I took one of my little shish kebab sticks, because I had a few of them that were kind of hanging on, and I kind of just cleaned this little stringy material that it made out of there. Because this wood is so hard, that stuff didn't want to go anywhere. So I cleaned a lot of them out. I haven't got it completely clean, but like I said, next when I do, I will be doing it on crosshatch to try to cut some of that out of there. But I'm going to show you what the detail looks like, and this is with the Diwali rotary, and I just built this in light burn and then set it to burn it. And it's pretty much just got 2 different size hearts, two different size stars all the way around the rolling pin. Some of them are a little darker than others. Some of them burn a little deeper than others, but we're working with wood here, guys, and wood is not always the same consistency. If you'll notice, this wood's a little darker on this side than it is on this side. That indicates to me that this is probably closer to the heart of the wood, and it's going to be a little harder. And this stuff is, I don't know what it's made of, because it comes from Dollar General. I'm sure it's probably not from Alabama. But this has got to be some hickory or something that is up there in the hardness scale of hickory, because it didn't want to burn. 3 passes, it done fairly well. I don't know if you can see it or not, But it's a good millimeter deep. Let me see if I can get it to where you can see the depth. Maybe you can see that up top right there. You might can see how deep it is. But the one way that I do know to test it, and I didn't think about this, guys, when I was doing this, but early on in my laser days, I was having an issue with some materials rolling and trying to hold odd shapes in place, and I actually bought some clay. So we're gonna try this guy out and see how it works. All right, so some of you guys, some of you ladies that do this, give me a little break. This is not my thing, okay? But I do have some modeling clay that I bought a long time ago. I'm hoping it's still good. It is kind of cold. I probably should have laid this over near the heater and let it sit for a little while so that it would warm up a little, because this is probably going to be a little ridiculous to press this stuff out as cold as it is. And I'm afraid I'm going to bend the handles on this thing, and if I do bear down hard enough, it sticks. So yeah, we're going to just have to let Sheena look at this thing and see if it's a success as far as what she needed it for, because I'm terrible at this, guys. But it does make hearts or stars. So, I mean, it would make a really cool 4th of July pie if that's what you were after. All right, guys, if nothing else, I think we all can agree that I do not need to be using clay for any projects. Okay, me and clay, obviously I am not trained enough to be able to do that. And I got clay all in my little roller. So, but we're gonna have to check it out and see if this is gonna do for what she wanted. Like I said, I'm no good at doing this stuff, so I couldn't tell you if it works or not. She did show me a picture that she had found where she had been ordering these things online from out of state, and just said, hey, can you make one of these? And from looking at it, I think I've replicated it pretty well. I'm gonna have to let her test it out and see if it works before I'll know further. The only problem that I think what could be is these may not be as deep as what she had wanted. And if that's the case, it's an easy enough fix, because next time I'll just put it on a 20-watt module and run the same burn pattern, and I'll get significantly more depth, and especially if I run a crosshatch on the design, that should make it fall out with an air hose and not be nearly as much of a hassle of getting it out. But anyway, now you know, guys, you can make some really awesome pie crusts with this too. Some of the ideas that I had while doing this one was you could actually take an American flag and put it on here for, let's say, you know, if you wanted to do some apple pie or blueberry pie sometime around 4th of July, that's pretty patriotic. You know, you get you a rolling pin, put you some little American flags on it. When you roll that crust out, you got your American flags imprinted on the crust. I think that would be pretty cool. I was trying to figure out exactly how I could like set one of these up, maybe for painting, to where you could do you could paint with it and it would make patterns. And so that got me thinking about, what about paint rollers? You know, the rollers that you use to paint with. I've never tried to engrave one of those. I don't know what would happen if you did. There does seem to be some potential for a fire, but how cool would it be that if you could put your logo on a roller, on a paintbrush, and roll it and it make the logo? So I'm gonna kind of put that in the back of my mind, and when I get some time, I may have to try that one and see. Anyway, guys, appreciate you stopping by. For those of you asking about the new 20-watt module that I'm playing with, I'm trying it out for ComGrow, seeing if there's any issues, bugs, bells, or whistles that's involved in it. I do have it set up. I can't release a whole lot for now, but if you'll stay tuned, around December the 10th, I have been told I can release the video that I've made so far, and there will be a lot more information on that. And I promise you guys, you're gonna like it. It's cool. It is going to be a game changer for a lot of you guys that have a machine that maybe you bought it a while back and it's not as powerful as you would like, and it'll be an upgrade that you can do and kind of give that thing a little more horsepower. But if you hadn't already, guys, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, give me a comment down below, and don't forget, go over and check out Sheena's page. She makes some really awesome earrings, Christmas ornaments, and stuff like that. I'll throw a couple of pictures up here for you to look at. But she uses clay. She's a hobbyist just like the rest of us. She has her own little small business selling her craft and making things and take them to events and so forth. So she's, if you're into earrings, ladies, guys, I mean, you know, Christmas is right around the corner. If you want to order a cool set of custom earrings that are handmade, handcrafted, and look really cool, just check out Sheena's page. I'm pretty sure she does shipping from what I've seen. and she'd be more than glad to send those out to you. She's got some, you know, all kinds of different, like I said, I should have some pictures up here for you to look at, but if that's something you're interested in, go check her out on Facebook, and I'll drop a link in the description down below, as well as links for the equipment that I used to do this. Now, the roller itself came from Dollar General. It's just a generic, cheap $6 roller. So that may be on you guys. But until next time, as always, stay safe and have a good day.